everyone, and welcome to a new video on the channel. Today we are wrapping up the month of January in my reading journal. Now I'm going to preface this with this is my first time using this larger size notebook, and thus my usual spreads had to be changed. So when we get to them you'll see that I changed things around, and that's why this video is a little bit longer. It was all a bit of an experiment, but right now we are filling in the TBRathon bingo board that I participated in over January, and I read 23 books, so I had plenty of books to put on this little bingo board. In the end, I put on 22 out of 23 because I just didn't have anything on that orange bar that would work for the 23rd book that I left, well, the book I left behind. I really had a good time filling this in. I think it's really effective when it's all complete. It did mean that I spent a little bit more time cutting out book covers because we have to do it twice now. But I think it is really effective to look at, and I will be hopefully doing more of this in 2024. I think the visual aspect of my journal in some ways can be a little bit lacking, and so I want to fill it up a bit more this year, and by doing things like this, extra work will be added, but I think it will be worth it in the end, especially since when I was in my black journal, I didn't have to work so hard, I don't think, because black was just naturally effective. You put anything on the page and it would stand out. But on white paper, I feel like you have to put in a little bit more effort. So here we are, we've completed it. I've just got that one book that I didn't put on, and we're now into the reading log. So this year I changed my reading log up. I'm not sure if I'm really happy with this or not. Um, yeah, I think we'll have to do a little bit more experiments. But for now, this is how my reading log looks, and I decided to put covers on them, which I do like. I've never done this before. I think it really fills in the space. So we'll see how it goes over February. It's a very different layout for me, so I think that's just what it is. It's just a bit new and I don't know really how to work with it, but we'll see. And like I said, I do think it's effective when you put all the covers on and fill in the space. It makes it a very easy visual to look at as well. And the book covers will help when I'm looking back on data to look for the book rather than the title. But there are two pages of this because obviously I said that I read 23 books in January, a big overachiever for the start of the year. I don't think I'm going to be like that for the rest of the year, to be fair. A lot of these books were very small ones, under 300, so under 300 pages. So yeah, we'll roll with it. I've done my reading update, all 23 books. I try to do it as brief as possible, so if you want to watch that, it's up on the channel already, and I will link it in the description below. So we're almost done. I did mess this page up. So Drop, Cover and Hold On is actually the fourth book in this little novella series that I read. And I accidentally missed it. Perhaps because I didn't enjoy it. I just tried to forget the book entirely. So that's out of order, but I will put it into order on this page. Now, this is my stats page. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I changed things up. This is not at all how the stats were in 2023. There were bar graphs and everything in there. And I was a little bit inspired by my friend Monica, who is Bibliophile by Night, over on Instagram, and her layout for her stats. She puts a lot of information into her stats page, and essentially that's what a stats page is, so I figured I'd give it a go. But put my own spin on it as well. So I did write out every single book that I read, and I did cut out that footage because it was exceptionally long, and I did get a hand cramp from it. However, I do like a lot about this new setup. I like that I can see all the information at a glance. If I'm looking for how many books I DNF'd, for example, I can find the book titles even, which was never something that I did before. I just used to loosely put down my stats. I do feel like I need to do a little bit of tweaking to how this layout's going to work. So in February, I might have another look at how I've set it up in January and what I want to change about it. But for the most part, it was really enjoyable to do. It did take a long time. That's why there is extra footage, like I mentioned. And also, I did make a couple of mistakes. I put an extra dot there when there wasn't anything needed there. You can't see the work that I do at the bottom of the page because I zoomed in too far. and forgot to zoom out. I was so in the flow, and I can't move the book any further up on my desk. I actually changed my desk around all because of this book. Isn't that insane? The filming station, I couldn't make it fit the way it was. I have a little ledge on my desk, and beforehand that was right in the middle of my filming space, but because my book was smaller last year, I could just zoom in and completely avoid that. But this year I can't, so I changed my desk around entirely to fit this book, and it still doesn't fit if I zoom in, because of all my pens. So I'm not sure how to go about that. I do need to be more mindful about when I'm zoomed in. But like I said, I was just so in the flow and filling in all this information. See, you can see you didn't get to see me set any of that up, but you didn't really miss anything. And that leads me into my question, which I will leave in the comments and also do a community post about. I want to know if you would like to see me setting this page up in full, as in it completely blank like it was when we started this page, or if I should just set out the spots with all the colors in place and then fill in the data, because I feel like either way is fine and I'm happy to film it either way. But it did take a lot of time, and I was wondering if it would be easier if I just set everything up into its spots and then we just fill in the data together. I think that might be a little bit easier considering these videos are normally shorter. But where that's just up to you guys. I'm happy to film it at this full length as well if you want to sit through it as well. No problem for me. I like watching back my footage and seeing how I change things or do it. So it's, yeah, it's up to you guys if you want it. I don't want to be putting out content that no one wants to watch, if that makes sense. So I did leave it this time around because I figured a new journal, new setup, let's show how it's done. But it's going to be pretty much the same every time once I get the swing of it and make those little tweaks. So I did want to ask if that was something that you would like me to change or keep the same. I am just decorating the page a little bit and then going to continue on with the stats. I have made my top read and least liked read a little bit bigger this year because I've got that extra space at the top. So the book covers are bolder, and I like that. I like that I get to see very quickly what book I love the most, which was Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. And the least liked book was Drop, Cover, and Hold On by Jasmine Glory. Like I mentioned, you can find out why I felt this way about both books in my reading update that is linked below. So to get into the stats, I read 23 books. My page count was only 4,720 though. Like I mentioned, all these books were really short. A lot of them were novellas. My average was 3.5 because I did have a few 2-star reads. I read 4 arcs. It says that I purchased 6 books, but it's actually 5. That is an error. And library hires, I read 8 of them. I read 17 books that were part of a series, and 6 were standalone. I participated in the TBRathon, so that's one readathon. I didn't complete any book club reads. I did read one and DNF'd it. My buddy reads, I did one with a friend and it was Half a Soul. Absolutely loved it. Rereads, I did one. And hours I listened to audiobooks because I wanted to track this, even though it doesn't match the actual length of the book, was 30 hours, 30.8 hours. So I think that's pretty interesting to track because I obviously listen at a much faster pace than one times speed. So I get through books very quickly. I also have new sections on here. So we've got things like where I acquired the books, and the majority were from the library. So that's on par with me not buying books this year. I really want to read more by the library. And then I got books from NetGalley, and I also used my best friend's Kindle Unlimited account. So I used her Kindle, so I could read the novella series, the Improbable Meet Cute series. What else we've got? I did DNF 4 books. Technically, it should actually be 5. Again, an error was put here, and I just followed it through, but technically it was actually 5. And On the other side, we've got star ratings, which I'm about to fill in, and we've got the other sections like source. So I've changed that from format. So the material was sourced through 2 physical reads, 13 ebooks, 8 audiobooks, and none were mixed reads. For format, I had 13 novels and 10 novellas, and no graphic novels and no short stories. Um, Audience, I had 16 adult books, which is fantastic. 2 new adult, 5 young adult, and no middle grade. And now we can talk about the star ratings. They're not quite yet up on the screen, but they're next in line. So I had 3 5 stars, 1 4.5 star, 6 4 stars, 3 3.5 stars, 7 3 stars, no 2.5 stars, and 3 2 stars. The majority of the genres was romance. I read 15 of those. There was 7 fantasy, 1 paranormal. And I've got other little data on there as well, but we've already flipped through and we're already working on the days read page. So I hope you saw the rest of that data on screen. I do need to figure out how to film this a little bit and keep up with the time. Now, we're going to talk about this. This is one of my favorite pages to fill in every month. I mention that all the time, but I messed up. And I'm not 100% sure I am enjoying it. So it's nothing to do with the days read, the book amount. It's more to do with the format side, which, looking at it now, should be called source, but it's what I've been calling it, and I just changed it to suit what everyone else was calling it. So I might just change it back to format in the end. But books amount is absolutely fine. Loving the color scheme. So the grey means I did not read. Green, which is a lot of them, whereas was when I read only 1 book that day. Purple was 2 books, and the little tan color that starts to appear at the end of the month represents 3+ books. I'm really happy with my reading over January, that I got to get through so many books. Yeah, really had a good time. But the format side of things gets a little bit tricky because I did read a lot of books that were more than 1 format in a day. So a lot of it was ebook and audiobook. So that's why I halved that first square, and I go to do that again. But I've gone and accidentally coloured in all the days I didn't read with the same colour that it's down for on the other side, and that actually represents mixed reads. And I do have a day where I read a mixed read, so I was tandem reading the book and also listening to it, and that's what I class as mixed reads when I'm using 2 different formats. So I realized somewhere around here and start to look at the page and go, I've messed up somehow, but never fear. I do try to fix it. I end up, yeah, it's around here. I start going, oh, hang on a minute, what have I done wrong? And I thought I'd just put these little crosses through it, but it looks stupid. So I do use another color and go over it. It's not on the color grid, so I'm going to have to add it onto the key, sorry. It's not a big deal though. I just was a little bit frustrated that I didn't see this happening. And I wonder if I should have had a color for like if I read all the formats in one day, or if I should have just like put that as mixed. I don't know. It's not making much sense to me, and I'm sure it's not making much sense to you guys. But I can't really change it now that I've started it. So I might try to do a little bit off camera to fix it, but I think we're just going to have to go with how I've started it, which will be fine. It'll be interesting to see the data filled in when we get to the end of even the first quarter. Next page is Read the Rainbow, and I've completed 2 of them, white/grey for the Cruel Prince, and the red book was Small Miracles. I've also completed 2 of the 24 tropes. For Enemies to Lovers was the Cruel Prince, and I did actually do another one. It was Marriage of Convenience for Fortune is Sworn, but I actually wish I had done not like the other girls for that, but hey ho. We've already flipped through some pages, but we do come back because I had no idea what I was doing again. So for Buzzwordathon, I did manage to finish it. I've also come back again to do the social media growth because I didn't realize that I hadn't filled it in. My camera battery was dying, and that's why I was flustering around everywhere, not sure what to do. So here I've shown you that I've already filled some stuff in off the grid. I've managed to complete something on the bingo board as well. And going to the book club reads. Before we flip right into the little reading data book, thankfully we can zoom into this and not lose ourselves. But I did struggle, like I mentioned, in how to use this. And I don't know why, because I've been using this for an entire year, but it just felt weird to go from the other one straight back into this and not know like how I was going to put data in. This stuff is pretty simple. I have my series tracker and this is what I use all the time to track what I'm reading. And thankfully this part wasn't so confusing to deal with. Again, I have zoomed in too far, but you haven't missed anything. When we flip the page, I haven't done anything at the bottom of the page. But I just went through like usual to see what series I needed to tick off, sorry. And there wasn't many because I just started new ones instead. But I am happy with the green color. I think it's going to go really well with all the other colors on the pages. And there's not really much more to say about this. It's pretty self-explanatory. I did go to put in the first book of Legend and Lattes because when I was filming this, I'd already finished it. But it was a February read, so I thought I'd leave it until the February wrap-up. Yeah, that's why you saw me pick up the green pen and go, oh, actually, no, don't do it. Putting down the new series now, and I'm very happy to state that some of the series I did start this month, I actually put a good effort into. So I'm already over halfway done with this one, the Regency Fairy Tales. I just need to get books 2 and 3. And then this one I actually started last year, but I didn't know it was going to be a series. So that's why we're putting it down now. And I just found out there's going to be a third book, so very excited for that as well. And then this last one I completed. So this was the little cute novella series by all the romance authors for Valentine's, and all 6 of them were very easy to read. So I've just put them all down. It's really satisfying to put it all down and then tick it right off so it's completely filled, with the pink at the end to say it's completed. But that is this page now done, and we can flip over into the owned TBR. I only read one book, but 2 books were in the one book, so that's how I got 2 physical. And I'm just adding on, being good for once, because normally I forget to do this and know what books I need to add on. So I was just adding on the books that I managed to purchase in January. Before I set this up, there are a couple that I already had purchased and they're already in spot, because I had already added them to the little digital library app that I've got, and going back through and just colouring those in as well. So just keeping up with this data will be really important to me. I want to make an effort this year, but it's this part here where I started to feel like I wasn't enjoying myself anymore, which is kind of weird. Not so much the DNF page because that made sense, though I do put down the book that I need to go change everything over to. I think I need to go back and check the percentage because I don't think I read over 12%, and I put 12% for both of them, so I think I need to go back and check. I think spinning out I didn't actually DNF, I just sampled it because that's why I put it in the other section. That's where I'm a little bit confused by the data that I've made a mess in filming. And you see I'm having a little bit of a like, what? Why do they both say that? Never mind. The last 2 books are going on, and these ones weren't from my Kindle. These were actual books that I picked up. I tried really hard to finish this one, the 𝓤𝓲𝓬𝓿 Infinity, but I just couldn't carry on with it. And unfortunately, the book club read I did DNF at 23%, so that was a bit of an unfortunate moment. Flipping to this page here, which is the 2024 at a glance, and I'm really not happy with it. I changed my star rating colors up to be more classical and like darker tones this year because it suited my theme in my other journal, but it's not really working in this one. The bright colors definitely worked a lot better on this paper, so I have gone in after the fact and colored in all those little circles that I made because I thought it looked messy just being a ring around the number, but that means then you can't really read the number, but I don't think I need to. Yeah, I don't know. It's been a really interesting process trying to figure out what I like and what I don't like. So I have been using a journal for many years. It just felt like I was really out of the loop when I came into this. It's just a really weird experience. But I'm sure once we get some more data on this page, it won't look so weird and it'll be a bit more cohesive. I do like the pen change. Fun fact, the pen that I used all year long for the visual died in 2023. It died on the very last month, so the pen that I used for December was a different one. So I decided that I'd use a different pen all year for this one. I like how thin it is. I was able to get more of the headers in and make it a bit more neater. But I'm not, yeah, I went and filled in those circles. They just look weird not being coloured in. But this is the end of the video, and thankfully you won't have to listen to me babbling on about this journal anymore for another few weeks. I'm really happy with this page here and with how I've worked with the new space. Like I said, it's just all a bit of an experiment, and I'm hopeful that I will find my feet a little bit with it. Makes it sound so serious. This is just journaling, for goodness sakes. But I am very excited to jump into February, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Until then, I hope you have fun reading. Bye everyone.